Hello everyone, this is Siege992 and today we're back for another brand new video, returning to the original setup with the old squeaky cherry Destiny, which I'm sure everyone's delighted to actually about, but we are back in a big way after a European adventure. It's time to reset and refocus. If the quadruple is on tomorrow, needs to go well. That's right, there is absolutely zero rest for the wicked, so follow me as we go ahead and discuss this upcoming game. If you could help the channel out by hitting that like button or subscribing, that would be absolutely sensational as well. Or if you'd rather wait to see if this video is worth any of those things, let's go ahead to try to earn it then, shall we? And as always, we'll look at tomorrow's opposition, a side who at my current time are recording are sitting 6th, which shouldn't change as it's the cup weekend. We of course face Hibs. I have absolutely no idea why I said Hibernian in 3 separate words. Nah, I didn't. That's just what happens right here on the actual channel. But Hibs, again, come in to tomorrow's game, sitting 6th, middle of the table, but they are currently on a 5-match unbeaten streak in terms of all competitions. In fact, if you actually look at it fairly, they could and probably should be actually sitting at a 6-match undefeated streak if a controversial 92nd minute penalty didn't go against them versus Celtic the last time Hibs at Easter Road welcomed either side of the Old Firm coin. A game that felt important to mention because not only again does it limit what their undefeated streak is and how they're actually playing coming into this game, but also again it gives you an example of what type of performances they can possibly play at Easter Road, ladies and gentlemen, because again that game they really should have got. It's no a line, it's no me trying to be funny, it's no me taking a dig at Celtic fans or anything like that. If you looked at that game of football, the team that created numerous opportunities, missed absolute sitters, was Hibs, but 2 penalties in the same game, one in the first 10 minutes and then another in the last 10 minutes is the difference in making an undefeated streak just a little bit longer for this Hibs side. But you've actually got to give them credit, because where a game like that, penalty in the first 10 minutes, penalty in the last 10 minutes, should demoralise anyone when you've gave what you've gave in that game and punched above your weight, deservedly taking a minimum of a point, possibly deserving all 3. That can affect the team, that can negatively affect a team, and that can send them on a spiral. But again, they've actually done pretty well to bounce back from that demoralising loss to Celtic as the streak has went on. They had a quite comfortable 3-1 win versus Cali in the previous round to lead us to Rangers, but they've also got a good win there versus Dundee. A game, by the way, that also featured a goal in the last 10 minutes of action, which again is something that's very common in terms of Hibernian this season. A goal in the last 15-20 minutes. Late goals and Hibs kind of go hand in hand, so that may play true in tomorrow's game versus us. Hopefully we're the ones that scoring them right enough. But they beat Dundee, they went up to Pittodrie, they got a 2-2 draw, battling draw in that one as well, coming back from behind twice in the actual match, where again just a couple of weeks ago they played the high-flying Hearts and managed to battle them into an actual draw as well. And Hearts have been flying, as you know. The only team they've not been flying against has been against us, which is honestly been truly enjoyable. But I know I'm saying the words like battling and I'm mentioning a lot of draws, so there'll be a lot of people saying, wait a minute CJ, the last time we played at Easter Road not too long ago, it was a comfortable 3-0 win, and I actually said it was actually an enjoyable trip to Easter Road. There's not been too many yards of them, but we just outclassed them in every category, and both can be true at the exact same time. This Hibs side can battle in, and they can also just be battered by the best team in the country, which is us, ladies and gentlemen. But I want to talk about that, right? Because you look at the 3-0 win that we had at Easter Road and round about the 24th, if my memory is correct. We went into that game, we bossed it, and again, they ended up bouncing back. And the same issues that Hibs had on that day is the same thing that's prevalent to where they are currently. This side has defensively a bit of a mess, ladies and gentlemen. And I think if you look at it, because their most recent game of football was a 2-0 win versus the battling, scrapping for their lives Ross County, and that 2-0, that nil is a very rare scoreline when it comes to Hibernian, and a lot of the issues we saw the last time we went to Easter Road, how defensively open they are, remains to be true, as Hibernian have only had 2 clean sheets in the last 4 months of football. You have to go all the way back to the 9th of December for the last time, besides the 2-0 win versus Ross County, for the last time this team got a clean sheet, in the league. And do you know who that was against? Livy, the struggling Livy. So if you take a step back and you pay attention to what I'm talking about, they've had 2 clean sheets in 4 months. It's been against the team sitting bottom and the team sitting second bottom. For me, that drastically cuts down the length of time we need to discuss the Hibernian side, because it really tells you what this team is all about. They are trying to change their playstyle. They're not the Hibs of old. I think if we were playing previous managers, we could go on and expect this Hibernian side to be parking the bus, playing defensive football, time wasting, but it's not really the way Nick wants them to actually play. He's in the midst of, and he's starting to get there to turn this Hibernian side into a real attack-minded side. That's why there's always goals in their games, usually always a stick on for both teams to score, if you actually will, because that is now their playstyle, and I think that takes us into a very interesting position when you start looking into our game tomorrow, because again, normally on paper we're expecting a part the bus mindset when we play these teams. I mean, most of the teams when you play round about the cup competitions, 1-0 at half time, 1-0 60 minutes, 1-0 70 minutes isn't the worst result, as they can try to frustrate, then they can try to come on. That's kind of the blueprint of Scottish football, and it has been for the last, I don't know how actually long, but again, I just didn't get the feeling that Hibernia will be doing that. And truthfully, if we're just being honest, I feel like they'll look to the loss that we had versus Motherwell at the actual weekend as an example of, if you attack and you didn't allow a Rangers team to settle, if you didn't allow Tavernier to play himself into the game, if you didn't allow the likes of Lunny to get loads of touches to start a game, to start to dictate the actual tempo, you can make it very frustrating, you can make it very unhappy, and that's exactly what Motherwell did. And truthfully, in this game of football, and I could be completely wrong at it, I see Hibs being brave on the actual attack as well, and coming after and trying to commit, as it's a cup quarter final, is do or die, and Motherwell, a struggling Motherwell side, has proven to make it very uncomfortable for Rangers, and I think that there gives hope. Now hopefully this Rangers team shows that last week was an absolute off ball and a bad day at the office, so we could take that hope and rip it up to pure shreds. Maybe Phil's planned all this and he's just planted a little bit of false hope to make tomorrow a little bit easier. That would be very nice. But that's truthfully what I've got to say about the Hibernian side. That's all I've really got to add from 2 months ago when I spoke about them last. So now it's time to get over to the Rangers end and discuss this Rangers side, because what more can we say and explain to people what it's like being a Rangers fan than this? Again, gone back to last weekend, we had one of our worst performances in a very, very long time, losing to the struggling Motherwell side, where we only turned up and really started playing some football round about the 87th minute of the actual game. We took that for the weekend and took that on our travels, flew to Portugal to play one of the best statistical sides that's left in Europe in terms of Benfica on their ground, at their gaff, and we came away from there disappointed that a 2-2 frickin' draw because of the manner in which the game actually unfolded. That's what it's like being a Rangers fan. Absolutely devastated getting beat off a Motherwell and then playing a side that is much, much better in every category in Benfica, playing them at their gaff on occasion off the park and deserving to actually get the win. But as it is Rangers, there's always a down to the up in terms of the roller coaster, and that's the way we conceded the goals. As a side that is known for their attacking qualities like a Benfica, only breached the Rangers defence 2 times in that game, 2 times at their stadium, and that was via an own goal for Connor Goldson that was devastating. And at the time in my match reaction video, I looked you right in the eyes and said I don't think that should have been a penalty kick, but I wasn't 100% topped up on what the rules actually are, especially for European football. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's the rules in black and white written out for you. Should John Souttar have conceded a penalty in that game? The rules of the game, the rules that the referee's supposed to follow, the rules that are there in place to protect mistakes like this states no. Why did the referee give it? I don't know. Why did the referee not send Di Maria off not once, twice or 3 times when he was given the opportunity? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, but I just wanted to explain that. As good as that night was versus Benfica, these players deserved more than that, and if the referee done his job and followed the rules that's in place, we should have came away with that with another famous victory. But we've got a chance at Ibrox in a couple of days to rectify that. That's nowhere I want to get distracted, and I hope the players aren't distracted by that prospect either, because it's time to dust ourselves off and again focus in on what's ahead of us, and that is another step towards lifting the second trophy that's available to win this season. We've already won the first one. Well, now it's time to make a major step forward in terms of winning the second one, and that's what's ahead of us. And I think if what you can say about Europe is it showed this team can work their absolute arse off. The way they are applied themselves, the way they stuck together, the way they backed each other when referees and players were getting in their faces, the togetherness that they showed has to be considered the template from now to the end of the season. That us versus the world mentality needs to be on the actual park, because I love the way they backed each other. They were up right away whenever they were diving, they were calling it out. That's the mindsets that we need, and for me, what we saw in terms of work rate and togetherness is the template now from here to the end of the season. And if we do that, ladies and gentlemen, if we play and if we apply ourselves the way we did in European football, we should have a very successful end of the actual season. Because yes, the quality from Benfica to Hibs is clearly a major drop off, but there is absolutely zero reason for us to allow our application for the game to drop down to here. Let's stop playing down to the opposition. We've showed our qualities, we've showed how we can play a game of football. Just go out there and do that and wrap this one up. I am very interested to see the starting 11 selected for tomorrow, because not only is it an important game, but I've got to be honest, there was a lot of legs that had ran their race versus Benfica. The likes of Lundstrom, who is a major part of this Rangers machine, whether you like him or you didn't like him, the man in charge that we all respect and we all trust, Clement, sees this guy as a vital piece in what he's trying to do at Rangers, and sees this guy as one of the first names on the team sheets. But as good as Lonnie's been for the majority of this season, especially under Clement, he was rotten after 45 minutes. Let's go, he was just done. His legs had went. This guy has played nearly every minute for the last umpteen months, and it looked like at the level, the intensity of that game, he had just ran his race. So that leads a very interesting conversation point. Do you put him in versus Hibs? Again, it is a cup quarter final, it's not a rotation, it's not a league game or anything like that. You can think about, oh, we can rotate and do this. Still a cup quarter final. Do you put him in there, then hope he makes it through to Benfica, which again is another massive game, then you look to rotate him versus Dundee? Or do you identify and trust the talent that you've got in the squad and bring Lunny out and give him the rest that, in my opinion, he badly needs? He's a lot better a player than what he showed versus Benfica, but as soon as the 40th, 50th minute came in that game, his level just plummeted, because the boy was towing a caravan. He could barely move. For me, what I would do in this, and what I would look, and what I think may actually happen, is I think Lunny may come out the starting 11 and Ryan Jack comes into it. That's the swap in my personal opinion. I thought Jacko came on and looked really good versus Benfica. Now I know he's on this new rotational role to keep him fully fit, and it's just managing for the manager and everything like that. But at the same time, I think if you're looking at a player that you can trust to come in and do the same job, I think Jack would be there. The guys like Raskin and that, I'm sure will be sniffing about wanting to get on, but I would love to see Jacko getting put in there, because that's somebody you can rely on and trust to make the right decisions at the right time, just like you can do 90% of the time for John Lundstrom. I didn't like the wording, as it doesn't really come across well, but I feel like Lundstrom needs a rest. We're not resting him for a cup quarter final. I'm just doing it for the betterment of the actual player. If we want to see him back to his best and dictating games, he needs a little bit of rest, as he looks like he's run just too many races at the minute. I'd love to know what your opinions are. It's a cup quarter final. Do you just pick the same starting 11, say go out there and give what you gave? It's a fair argument. I can understand why you say that, but I just feel like a couple of players need protection, because we can't afford to really run any more of them into the ground, and I think a couple changes would be there. But I'd personally love to see Ridvan, Silva, Dessers again. I know where everybody stands with Dessers, but we can't trust Kamaru to come back in and start games at the minute. Again, make the sub 60th minute if you actually want. But I talked about it before the game versus Benfica. For me, Silva had all the attributes to really hurt them doing that channel. That's where he's played a lot of the football, and he's shown it in that game. That's his position for me. The new, I still didn't think he's a number 9 now. Again, this could all go wrong. Silva could start at the 9. We could bring in 2 wingers. Could go Gloria Samora. But for me, when I look at Silva, that's his best position, out in that wide area where he can get a lot of touches, he can show his skill, he can show his talent, and he can show his actual work rate in coming back. I think he's better the more touches he gets, and as a 9 it can be isolating. Look at Dessers on Thursday night. So that's who I'd only love to see regarding definite starters in this game, besides the likes of Tavernier and everything like that. It's got to be there. It's got to be there. And also, can we also please see Balogun tomorrow? That's just my personal opinion. What about you? I'd love to know what your thoughts and opinions are regarding the game of football. Everyone remains the exact same. The only real down point in terms of injuries is, of course, young Zach Lovelace, who was just made his comeback a couple of weeks ago in terms of youth football. Has ended up suffering an injury setback. So my best wishes goes out to that young laddie. Again, he was the pick. He was the heir apparent on that winged position. Really, really unfortunate injury allowed Ross McCausland to come in. It looked like Zach was getting back in amongst they start getting and the opportunity that he's earned over the last couple of years, but the injury bug's just really, really, really been unfortunate for a laddie and coming after him. So best wishes to him. But that's it in terms of the game of football. We have more than enough quality to dismantle this Hibs side, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did beat them 3-0. But cups make it interesting, a real chance to win silverware for these Hibs players. They'll get an extra 5-10%. And again, as I've sat here and said, never be outworked when you go in that park wearing a Rangers shirt. It's starting to come back into the Rangers team. Clement tried to install that back in. It used to happen a lot under Beale, but it's been very rarely there, apart from maybe the Motherwell game. But it's time to get back to domestic football and do what we're doing under Phil, and that's winning games of football. That's the minimum for tomorrow. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in there. Who would you like to see? Do you think rotations need to be done, or would you just start the exact same starting 11 that started versus Benfica? Very interested to see what you say. Predictions, I'm going to go Rangers 2, Hibs 0. Goals, probably going to be both teams to score, if I'm being honest, because that's what the tail of the tape maybe suggests. But I'm just going to go with a clean sheet because I think Balogun will come in, and I think defensively we're much better when Balogun actually plays, and I'm sure he'll be one of the players I pick if he's given an opportunity. But I'm going to get this video out. Love to know what your opinions are, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow after the game. Thank you so much for watching. I've been CJ92. All the best, and bye-bye.